Throughout modern history, some of the greatest scientists and researchers, many of whom were not religious believers, have reached a striking conclusion about the Shroud of Turin. After decades of rigorous testing, experimentation, and debate, they determined that the mysterious image on the cloth could not have been created by simple contact with a human body, nor by scorching, painting, or pressing the body against a bas-relief sculpture. These conclusions stand in direct contrast to the idea that the image was formed through any known artistic or mechanical process. One modern attempt to recreate the shroud image came from Cicero Moraes, a Brazilian 3D designer known for his work in digital facial reconstruction. Moraes attempted to simulate the shroud using low-relief sculpture techniques combined with advanced three-dimensional modeling software. His work demonstrated that while a rough visual similarity could be produced, the results failed to match the shroud's unique properties, especially its depth encoding, fiber-level precision, and negative image behavior. This only reinforced a critical point. The Shroud of Turin does not behave like an artwork, a sculpture imprint, or a medieval fabrication. The Shroud of Turin remains one of the most intensely studied, debated, and controversial relics in human history. For centuries, it has captivated believers who regard it as the burial cloth of Jesus Christ, bearing physical evidence of his crucifixion. At the same time, skeptics, scientists, and historians have argued that it is nothing more than a medieval artifact or a cleverly executed forgery. Despite hundreds of years of scrutiny, no explanation has ever fully resolved the mystery. Each generation has tested the shroud with the most advanced tools of its time, yet the debate has never been settled. However, something unprecedented has occurred in recent years. Artificial intelligence, specifically systems designed for medical imaging, forensic reconstruction, and historical analysis, has been applied to the Shroud of Turin in a way never before possible. These AI systems were not programmed to prove or disprove the shroud's authenticity. Instead, they were designed to analyze image data objectively, searching for structure, depth, and anatomical accuracy. What they uncovered left many experts astonished. Rather than merely enhancing the faint image visible to the naked eye, artificial intelligence revealed something far more extraordinary. The shroud image contains measurable three-dimensional information. Depth is encoded within the image itself, invisible to human vision but detectable through computational analysis. When AI processed high-resolution scans of the cloth, it did not flatten the image, distort it, or produce random artifacts. Instead, it reconstructed a realistic three-dimensional model of a human body, one that aligned precisely with the faint imprint on the linen. This discovery alone challenged centuries of assumptions. Traditional paintings and drawings do not contain depth data. Even advanced artistic techniques cannot encode true three-dimensional spatial information without modern technology. Yet the shroud behaves more like a medical scan or an X-ray than a piece of artwork. Shadows and highlights correspond directly to distance between the body and the cloth, something no medieval artist could have calculated or reproduced. The Shroud of Turin itself is a burial cloth measuring approximately 14 feet long and just over 3 feet wide. It bears the front and back image of a man who appears to have suffered a brutal execution by crucifixion. Unlike paintings, the image shows no brushstrokes, no pigments, no dyes, and no evidence of applied color. The discoloration exists only on the topmost fibers of the linen, penetrating no deeper than a fraction of a millimeter. This characteristic alone defies known artistic techniques from any historical period. One of the most puzzling features of the shroud is that it is a photographic negative. This was not discovered until the late 19th century, when the first photographs of the cloth were developed. When the negative image appeared on photographic plates, the face and body emerged with remarkable clarity. Details that were barely visible on the cloth itself suddenly became sharp and lifelike. The wounds, facial structure, and body proportions appeared anatomically correct, further deepening the mystery. Over the years, scientists have subjected the shroud to countless tests. Carbon dating produced results suggesting a medieval origin, yet these findings were immediately challenged due to concerns about sample contamination, fire damage, and repairs made to the cloth over centuries. Other tests produced older dates. Pollen grains embedded in the fabric were traced to regions in the ancient Middle East, including areas consistent with Jerusalem. Bloodstains were identified as real human blood, containing markers inconsistent with paint or pigment. Rather than resolving the debate, each test raised new questions. At the center of the controversy lies a single unresolved question. How was the image formed? Ancient civilizations lacked the technology required to create photographic negatives or encode three-dimensional data. Medieval Europe possessed neither the scientific knowledge nor the tools necessary to achieve such precision. Yet the shroud exists, bearing properties that defy both ancient and medieval capabilities. Artificial intelligence entered the discussion not as a theological tool, but as a technical one. Researchers fed ultra-high-resolution scans of the shroud into deep learning systems typically used for forensic facial reconstruction and digital archaeology. These systems analyze spatial relationships, surface depth, and anatomical structure without bias or assumption. When the AI processed the shroud image, researchers expected distortion or flatness. Instead, they witnessed something extraordinary. The AI-generated reconstruction produced a three-dimensional human form that aligned seamlessly with the image on the cloth. Facial features emerged with realistic proportions. The nose, eyes, cheekbones, beard, and jawline formed naturally in three-dimensional space. The shoulders and torso showed accurate muscle structure. Even subtle contours of the face appeared, not exaggerated or artistic, but calm and anatomically precise. This outcome stunned researchers because such results cannot be produced from painted images. A painting contains no measurable depth. It cannot be mathematically translated into a three-dimensional structure without guesswork. The shroud image, however, behaves differently. Its intensity correlates directly with distance, allowing AI to calculate depth with remarkable accuracy. This property alone suggests that the image formation process was unlike anything known in human art. When medical professionals were invited to examine the AI-generated model, the findings became even more compelling. The injuries visible on the reconstructed body were consistent with historical accounts of Roman crucifixion practices. Damage to the wrists suggested nails driven through areas capable of supporting body weight. The shoulder structure indicated strain consistent with carrying a heavy wooden beam. The spine displayed markings that matched severe scourging. Facial swelling and bruising patterns suggested repeated blows from multiple directions. What shocked experts was not merely that these injuries aligned with biblical descriptions, but that they were medically precise. The AI identified trauma patterns that the naked eye had previously misunderstood due to the faintness of the image. Digital enhancement revealed bone displacement, muscle deformation, and soft tissue swelling that would have been nearly impossible to fabricate without modern anatomical knowledge. Medieval artists, even skilled ones, portrayed wounds symbolically rather than medically. They lacked understanding of pressure points, vascular trauma, and muscle response to extreme injury. For decades, many scientists believed the shroud image was simply a superficial discoloration. AI-assisted fiber analysis revealed something far more precise. The discoloration affects only the outermost fibers of the linen. It does not bleed, soak, or penetrate the threads. It behaves nithe.